just picked it up this afternoon.
What do you got, man?
Latest Doris Day album.
Oh, my secret love, baby.
First cut.
Once I had a secret love.
Who is it? Who is it?
It's the Narcs.
It's the Narcs.
The Narcs?
Do something with your...
Damn it! I'm not freaking out, damn it! Don't put my hand to my mouth!
I don't care.
Hi, we're your new neighbors. I'm Bill Narc. This is my wife,
Orson Welles called him the greatest of all the clowns in the history of cinema, a master of visual comedy. His visual style of telling a story in a film can still be seen in the work of some of the best comedic directors in film today. He is the innovator and creator of the impossible gag, a sight gag in a film designed to look more like a magic trick than a joke. He significantly reduced the amount of title cards used in a silent movie in order to show more action to tell his story. He is Buster Keaton, and he is the second of three of the best silent comedic actors of all time. He is another Phunny Pioneer. As a director and a performer, Buster Keaton brought things to the art of silent film no one else had ever used before. The natural gag, the callback, improvisation in a way that was never used before in film. The feeling that you're seeing something happening for the first time, not something that has been rehearsed or practiced over and over again. The actual magic and delight of something coming together and working in one take. For example, I have dabbled in directing a little bit, a couple of independent, low-budget movies over the years. And one of my theories is to keep the first, fifth, and seventh of all takes because they're always the best. I'm not exactly sure what the science is behind that logic, but through my experience on either side of the camera, whether I'm acting or directing, this is the case. My only logical explanation for this fact is that the first take is always interesting and should be considered because it's the most natural and unaffected. The fifth take, because after doing it 3 more times, you're more relaxed and comfortable, therefore the take will be better. And the seventh take, because by that time, it's as good as it's going to get. Everything after the seventh take is downhill. Now, utilize Buster Keaton's theory of directing, and you have rendered all my director logic useless because you've done it in one take, the first take. Because of how strict he was about this rule, he had to be a director, actor, acrobat, stuntman, cameraman, and editor all in one. This made Buster Keaton's profession deadly. The reason being, Buster Keaton would never fake a gag or a stunt or anything for that matter. He felt the only way to convince the audience that what they were seeing was real was to actually do it. And it definitely shows on the screen. Because when you see something happen in a Buster Keaton movie, you get nervous, excited, worried for his safety. You think it's actually happening. He learned this performing quality at a very young age. At the age of 3, Keaton began performing with his parents in vaudeville as the Three Keatons. He first appeared on stage in 1899. The act was mainly a comedy sketch that consisted of his mother, Myra, playing saxophone to one side, while Joe and Buster, Joe his dad and Buster, performed in the center of the stage. Basically, Buster was just a kid who wouldn't behave, and Joe would throw him around the stage, trying to reprimand him. The audience got a little nervous for 2 reasons. Because it looked so real, some people claimed child abuse. The other reason that the audience would be unnerved by this act until Buster made an adjustment to his face was that Buster would be having so much fun because it was all practiced and worked out. They were basically acrobats. His dad was not hurting him by throwing him around the stage. Buster would have so much fun doing this that he'd be smiling and laughing the whole time, which was sort of off-putting to the audience as well. Buster decided to just have sort of a nothing face to make sure that the audience wouldn't think that, either he was having too much fun or he was being hurt. I don't know, but that's where the deadpan came from. The straight deadpan face that he has in every film he ever made started as early as his vaudeville days. In February of 1917, Keaton met Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle at the Talmadge Studios in New York City, where Arbuckle was under contract to Joseph M. Seneck. Through Fatty Arbuckle, he was introduced to people in the film industry, and by asking Arbuckle if he could borrow a camera from his crew, taking it back to the hotel room, dismantling it, and putting it back together, he learned about cameras and how they worked, and had a foot in the door into the film industry. In 1920, The Saphead was released, in which Keaton had his first starring role in a full-length feature. After Keaton's successful work with Arbuckle, Seneck gave him his own production unit, Buster Keaton Productions. He made a series of 2 reel comedies, including 1 Week, The Playhouse, Cops, The Electric House. Keaton then moved to full-length features. Keaton's writers included Clyde Bruckman and Joseph Mitchell, but the most ingenious gags for his films were written and conceived by Keaton himself. Comedy director Leo McCarey recalled the freewheeling days of making slapstick comedies in early Hollywood. All of us tried to steal away each other's gag men. We had no such luck with Keaton because he thought up the best gags himself, and you couldn't steal him away. The more adventurous ideas called for dangerous stunts that had to be performed by Keaton himself at great physical risk. During the railroad water tank scene in Sherlock Jr., Keaton broke his neck. Aside from Steamboat Bill Jr., Keaton's most enduring feature-length films include Our Hospitality, The Navigator, 7 Chances, The Cameraman, and The General, which is generally considered his grand opus.
keep moving. Got to keep moving. Got to keep moving.
Towards the end of his career, the mid to late 60s, Buster Keaton did many TV appearances, including memorable appearances on The Twilight Zone and Route 66. Also in the mid to late 60s, he was in almost every pajama party, beach blanket, ghost movie you could think of. Pajama Party, Beach Blanket Bingo, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini, Sergeant Deadhead. Even though this was considered the very tail end of his career, he actually brought something to these pictures. I've seen a couple of these crazy movies, and the Buster Keaton element in them is always silent and funny and kind of like an ongoing character, no matter what the story is. I'm not exactly sure why he was so affiliated with those kind of films, but towards the end of his career, those were some of the last things he did. Until, of course, his incredible comeback in 1989 in Tim Burton's Batman. His chemistry with Jack Nicholson was amazing. I remember the posters now. Keaton, Nicholson. Yeah. Till next time.
Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. No. Cause I'm leaving in the morning and I must see you again. We'll have one more night together till the morning brings my train and I must go. No. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville, I'll be waiting at the station. We'll have time for coffee, related kisses, and a bit of conversation. No. Take the last train to Clarksville. Now I must hang up the phone. I can't hear you in this noisy railroad station. All alone I'm feeling low. No. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. No. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville.
One, two, three. Check, baby, 1, 2. Check, baby, rump, shakers. All I want to do is a zoom in a room with a boom, boom. All I want to do is zoom with a boom, boom, shake your rump. Quality. Okay, here we go. I should probably put this out. Right? Help. Somebody. Stop this. Is anyone, can anyone hear me? Ow. In the booth? What if I just put this in here? Is it like spontaneous combustion? Okay, I shouldn't be doing this. Here we go.